Well, going back to work today, I really didn't see myself making it through the rest of the day. I figured that they were preparing my paperwork for a termination. But something you guys kept saying in the comments that really stood out in my thoughts while I was contemplating life without work all day yesterday and all day today was the fact that corporations don't want to invest in their workers. And this is something that came up yesterday because I kept having a coworker who said that if you're not going to invest anything in your employees and you're going to pay them just above minimum wage, and then they come to work and then they act like minimum wage workers, then they should be allowed to do that. And I thought to myself, you know what? If any executive heard what he was saying about how workers should be allowed not to have to work very hard, that they should just have to, they could just come in, and since there's no investment in them, that they should be completely disposable. And that's really how my Gen Zeros have been for the last few years, is that they come into a job that they don't like. No person likes coming into a job that sucks. And unfortunately, with the way that things are created in our society, the way that the exploitation, the manipulation of workers for the very short term, it is almost a corporate mandate to make certain that there are positions at every single evil corp that will stay entry level for the entire time that that job exists. Like that there's a reason why they make these jobs, and that's to provide the most limited amount of resources humanly possible to a person that needs extensive resources to live, because we can't live on $2,000 a month unless you're living at home and your rent's covered, your car's covered, and your food's covered. And all you have to do is spend your money on just the little things that you need or you want. Because when you have that little, that few resources, it's not like you're going to be living a life. You're not even going to be alive. If you were making $2,000 a month, because when I worked at Walmart, and this was in 2019, was my last year working there, I made $300 on an average week. Sometimes if I got, no, they would never let you get above the 31-hour threshold because they didn't want to have to pay health benefits. So you stayed at about, back then I think the minimum wage was like $9 or $10, so it was about 300 per week, and your rent is consuming about 85% of your total income, and you have to figure out how you're going to get by like that. And with that said, let's get into today's two talking points. This is a 10-minute video. I'm recording it Wednesday afternoon, but it's going to go up Thursday morning so I can get up tomorrow and possibly go to the gym. I skipped it this morning just because I was so stressed out about losing my job. Like, it really, like, when I get stressed out, it goes straight into my stomach. And my stomach was in knots all day long because I felt like, they showed me my walking papers yesterday. When they started surveillancing, when they started doing surveillance on my communications, I was just like, you know what? This is not going to end well. Once they start doing this, once they start monitoring people internally, you're just like, okay, you know what? If you're going to tell me what I did based on the fact that you went behind my back and started looking at my history, and you're just like, and that's why you can't talk over, you can't say anything about any evil corp on any computer that belongs to work, because they're listening and they're watching, and they know that everyone that works for them is a potential enemy of the corporation. So they're always waiting to see what little bit they can find. The only problem is when you have a person that's as as difficult to train in a position it's very, very complicated. It's not just a job. It's like I don't know how to describe my job, because yesterday they asked me to put together what you do. And I'm like, well, I do a little of everything today. You know, I don't know how to describe what I do other than I do a lot. And with that said, my two talking points for today are going to be the decline of long-term employment and corporate strategy. So the reason I chose these videos is because this video that I'm looking at, called "Why Every Job Feels Temporary Now," is the highest paid video I have ever made in my entire life. This video has generated, let's say, a few $100. So I'm like, oh my goodness gracious! Like, people really are feeling the temporary nature of the job security out there, and I feel it every day, guys. I see it every day. Like, there are people that are not here. Like this morning, I had one of the ladies that works on the other side of the building who came to my door, and she's just like, "Millennial Stan, I'm not going to be here anymore." And I was like, I I hugged her and I said, "Well, I'm going to miss you." And she's just like, she's like taken aback because we see each other. We work in the same kind of general area, and she's been to my office a few times crying because of the way that she's treated by upper management in her position. And she's just a very soft human being. Like, she wouldn't make it very long in a world in which was cruel. And when I look at her and I see that the world has really crushed her, like, she hasn't had much in the way of benefiting from being a human being. So, okay, I need to get into my talking points. So let's go with talking point number one. And someone said that my videos don't sound like they're created by Chat GPT because they sound very fluid. It's just because I only use portions of Chat GPT in order to create my videos, because I don't want them to sound like they're very scripted. So when I'm talking, and obviously I'm going to bring humor into my channel, because people, despite this being a dystopian entertainment channel, I want people to come here and laugh at the fact that you're in a cage, that we are people who are trapped inside of little bubbles, and they're extracting our life force from our bubbles every single minute that you're working, and you're not getting anything out of it. We can't push our way out of our poverty bubbles. And if you don't think you're in a poverty bubble, then try going and accessing something you're not supposed to touch. Anything that's luxury for the proletariat, we're allowed to see, because our bubble is a one-way mirror. Like, we can see out of our bubbles that we're trapped inside of. But the rich, the government, anyone that benefits from us continuing to stay poor doesn't see us. We're all invisible. We're tens of millions of workers trapped inside the poverty bubbles, and we can't escape, no matter how much we hate it. And believe me, your feet smell inside the bubble. You can smell your own feet. You can smell your own gas. You can smell your own bad breath. And you can look at yourself inside the bubble and think, man, that is a pathetic proletariat wasteland. The 99% is a proletariat wasteland. Anyhow, let's go ahead and read our first talking point. Companies offering fewer full-time positions and favoring short-term, low-paying roles that lack benefits, career advancement, or job security. The reason why I chose this is that this is exactly what my Gen Z worker is. It's a short-term job. It's low-paying. It really lacks any sort of benefits or flexibility. There are no career advancements, and job security is a joke. And that's going to be true across most of corporate America, in which they're going to replace you with a temp, or they're going to continue to keep you at a level in which you feel disposable. The whole idea of job security being in decline is intentional. It was created to save money. And the reason for that is because when you save money at a corporation, that means that you have more money to pay people who are executives. Let's just face it. When corporate profits are at an all time high, the people at the top, the 1% of your company, are going to be the only people that reap benefits from those profits. And that's what makes them so dangerous to society. And I've said this before, the number one menace to society, to poor people, is rich people because they don't see people. They see things that should be exploited, and when they're not exploited, they question why they're not being exploited more. And you're like, well, you can only get so much blood out of a turnip, right? No. They want to see the turnip be turned inside out and exploited to the nth degree. And at the same time that they're exploiting the crap out of you, they're also letting you know that you have no job security. That's how I feel every single day that I go to my job. There is no job security there whatsoever. And when I feel that every day, it causes me to come to work and feel terrible. I feel terrible when I'm at work. There hasn't been a single day in my entire life when I had to go to work where I wanted to go to work or I felt like anyone cared about whether or not I had a job tomorrow. Yesterday, when I got in trouble with the top level for my bad anti corporation behavior, because that's what they told me, that it's like you're talking crap about Evil Corp. And I'm like, what, am I going to say good things about a place that I don't like going? No one likes going to work. Regardless of what your evil corp is, no one likes going to work. Work is a necessary evil for all of us. We just don't like it. There's no way that you can make work more palatable for the proletariat because everything about it is designed to crush your soul. Everything about it is designed to make you feel small, worthless, useless, humiliate you, and at the end of it, discard you like toilet paper. And that's why I've always used the toilet paper analogy. The proletariat is the toilet paper of the rich. You get that one good wipe and then you get tossed away. And that's it. That's been my whole entire life. Living as part of the proletariat is just being wiped over and over and over again and seen as so little in life. I mean, how much do you think about a square of toilet paper? That's how much rich people think about poor people. You're one square sheet of toilet paper on a roll that's infinite. That's all we are to them. So moving on to talking point number two, and this is going to bring up some of the original talking points that I just made. Avoiding investing in employee training and development, instead focusing on hiring short-term workers who are easily replaceable, leaves workers without skills or opportunity to grow. If you grow, if they give you skills, if they give you training, then they're not going to be able to afford you anymore. That's why you don't train people anymore. You hire people at ridiculously low wages that have the education you want and that have the experience you want. Even at entry level jobs, like I see this every day at my Evil Corp, hiring, especially when it comes to salespeople, you hire the lowest level people you can. But occasionally, one does slip right through, and you look at, oh my God, this person has a graduate degree and they're applying for a minimum wage work. Every time I see that at work, it scares the absolute crap out of me. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, my rear end puckers up every time I see a graduate degree person apply for a minimum wage. And I'm like, what happened? Why, what happened? Did you lose your last job? Or for me on a daily basis is having people who take 3 weeks to onboard and then find a better job during the onboarding process. And you're just like, you just wasted 3 weeks of your life to get a job you didn't want. And then you took something else because it was less miserable than this job. That's really what it comes down to with many, many jobs is that you're going to take the job that makes you less miserable, if that's humanly possible. Like, we all know what's out there in the labor market right now. It's just pain, misery, suffering, poverty, and in a vicious cycle. Because I'll tell you guys that as I've worked throughout my entire life, I've realized that there is no better job. Like I did this video this morning, there is no better job when corporations are out there avoiding investing in workers because they don't see workers as being an asset. You're not an asset, you're a resource to exploit. The less they want to pay you, the less benefits. They want to make certain that you get as little as humanly possible out of a job. Because if they could, they would just take our bodies and manipulate them to do work without even our brain controlling. They just use our bodies. That's how bad the exploitation is because our brain knows that we don't want to be there, but our body keeps moving because we need resources. We need money to live in a society where we don't really have money. You know, that I've never said that on this channel. We live in a society where people need money, but they don't have money. Living for rent and food is not having money. That literally is the definition of not having money. Every day that you go to your hourly job where they pay you $15 to $20 an hour, you truly have no purchasing power. You have no voice in society, and you're going to be miserable. And chances are, if you're making that little money, you're going to be miserable and you're going to also be alone. Like today, Gen Zero and I were talking when one of the office workers came over and like he said something to her and like you could feel in the air at that exact moment, and I actually talked to her a little while ago about this, is that we could feel how desperately sad and lonely Gen Zero is. And the reason why I recognize that truly deep sadness of excuse me, I've been talking for 17 minutes straight. The reason that I could feel that pain and suffering is because I have it too. You know, when I get up to go to work, I'm alone. When I come home from work, I'm alone. On the weekends, most weekends, I'm alone. And it's not like the loneliness of just not, being around people. It's the loneliness of just truly having nothing. You don't have any money. You don't have any friends. You don't have any family. You don't have a future to look forward to. You don't have a past that you want to remember. You truly don't have anything. You're the working poor, meaning you have no resources. You have no power. Everything has been taken away from you because you don't have money. And for all those people who are going to say, well, you just have to work harder. Really? Am I really going to work harder to make $5 more an hour and then truly not have any free time because now you're doing a part-time job, a full-time job, and probably doing some sort of side hustles on the weekend. And so now you, again, coming back to the exact same point, even when you devote this much immense effort towards supporting yourself, chances are you're going to fail anyway because of a lack of a true path of mobility towards a place where you're not supposed to go. Poor people aren't supposed to work their way out of being poor. That's not the way the system works. Because if that were true, we would all do our time at the bottom and eventually we would be able to see on the horizon that it was coming true. But for the 99%, immense effort doesn't equal immense wealth. But they will tell you that all day long because work harder, work longer hours is incredibly good for Evil Corp. The longer they can keep you chasing that carrot, the better it is for them in the long term because they don't want to pay you. They don't want to encourage you. They don't want to offer you training. They don't want to develop you as a person because, again, why would they do that when they can use temporary workers in every aspect of their business, except for the executives and higher? Everyone down that's doing labor, everyone that's using their body in order to generate income for an evil corporation is being exploited to the nth degree. And like I keep saying in my own situation, I have no job security of any kind. And that bothers me. That really, you know where that bothers me? Back there, where fleece is at right now. That's where it bothers me because I know that there's truly never going to be an escape and that you just have to get used to this.